here he goes. Go. Good? That's a big fish. Full hand on tail. Yeah, looks so good. Look how broad that thing is. What if I was one that pulled me in? Beautiful. Oh my. That's a big fish. Rip! That's what I've been waiting for all day. That's over 6. Oh. That's a good fish. Donkey. That's a heavy spot. Oh my God! Please get the net! Please get the net! I got you, buddy. That was the weirdest one ever. There you go. What the? Oh yeah, he's got another 4.5. Oh my God. This might be it. If I can land this fish. Holy sh! 5.06. She's thick. Oh my God! Oh my God! Holy! What a beast! Dude, that's it! That's it! 4 pounds smaller. I need a picture. Oh wow! That might be a 4. That might be a 4. Yeah, it's a 4. You guys show that off to 4 pounds, 12 ounces. Holy! Trailer just getting that. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, that's unbelievable. He's still swimming. What happened to me? Yup. 5.3. Sorry for freaking out. My first fish of the year. There we go. That's a big fish. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes! 4.14 though. Gee. Not too shabby.
Yeah, remove. What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Sorry about last night. My apologies. It's 100% on me. I done.
You got lost.
Did something. I did. I got lost, and my wallet had to buy it myself out of it. My bank account, my firstborn, everything. No, it really wasn't that bad. Oh, all right, who we got in the chat? I'll go straight to David towards the end. Rig, what rig? I done did bought me a truck. Finally, after a very, 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 very long time of waiting to make it happen, I finally bought myself a new tow rig. But going back up to the top, we got Ryan Briggs, David, which we just said hi to you anyway, Brian, Talon, Ben, Gordy, Dan, Camden, hey buddy, Ben Marshall, Mass Big Baits, Tim. Wait, is that Tim? I think it's Tim. Finley, hey. Andrew, what's going on?
Hi.
Hope everybody's had a fantastic week so far. Back to the OG schedule just for tonight, just for the one Thursday. And we'll go back to Wednesdays starting next week. And then the week after that, there won't even be a stream. Wait, is that true? No, not until end of November. There'll be a week where I'm gone. I'm in Tampa Bay traveling for work. But that's like 3 or 4 weeks away. I can tell you, though, the week before that, we've already got a really good stream lined up. It's going to be good. And the reason for that is because we have a return guest coming to, honestly, one of the best people you could ever want to hear from when it comes to literally anything boat electronics related. And actually,
I think I know who you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. We had him on here before. And I actually put up a post on the community tab of our channel several days ago asking members only, hey, here's 4 ideas I'm kicking around for topics that we're going to do for the stream. And I asked, what did you guys want to see most? And everybody came back with, I can't tell you, because that was a members only thing. One of the perks of being a channel member. So we're going to roll that into the episode with Steve because it just makes most sense. And it's going to be a really good one. Everything's going to tie in wonderfully. So, yeah, David, I wish I could say a new boat. I got a new truck. So, I guess before we get properly started with the weekend fishing recap and then into the heart of the stream, I bought a 2022 Toyota Tundra Crewmax limited package last night. I get a call at 10 a.m. I actually got to back up a little bit. I had a 2006 Toyota Tundra. One of the rear axle seals went in March, and then the other one just went again a couple weeks ago. not a big deal. 202,000 miles on it. Brought it in. The day before we were supposed to drop it off, we were coming back from the lake, and I smelled a little coolant. I'm like, yeah, well, radiator's probably going too, because that's still stock from 2006. And yeah, I got hit with a double whammy. And that stuff's not cheap. And I verified it with my local mechanic. The axle seal thing you have to have done by a dealer because it requires specialty tools. At least that's what I was told. That's what I did last time. Worked out great. So went there, and then they're like, hey, you also need your water pump and timing belt, which you have to do. You have to touch both to do one or the other. And that's like another $1,700. So I'm staring at thousands of dollars in stuff. That's all like routine maintenance at this point for the life of the truck. And I mean, not like routine per se, but nothing out of the ordinary. And while I was there, I was like, let's talk trucks. They had a limited, and the price was like, ain't happening. I cannot afford that. I don't want to afford that. That's actually a better way to put it. My wife and I had agreed upon ceiling for what we wanted to pay. So we were looking at like an SR5 TRD off-road package, and that brought it down like, honestly, I think it was like $175 a month cheaper than the limited I was looking at. And it was like, okay, that's like well below our ceiling. So hell yeah, let me know when you can find something. My goal was, if I didn't hear from them by this coming Monday that they could find something that they could swap it with another dealer, then I was just going to order one from Toyota and get exactly what I wanted. And they called me at 10 o'clock yesterday in the morning. They're like, hey, we got the exact truck you're looking for, but it's a limited. I was like, all right, well, we already discussed that. Price is too high. And they're like, well, it's the end of the month, so we're willing to work a deal with you. So if you're interested, you have to buy it today. Come on down. I was like, be there at 5. And I drove away with it at like 8:30 last night. So needless to say, I got the price I was looking for. Very, very close. I ended up paying, I think it was like $24 more a month than what my wife and I were like, this is what we want to do. But what's $24 extra dollars a month? The important thing was 0 cash down, which was awesome. And I got the payment.
Eight monsters.
Where I wanted. Quit these. That doesn't become a problem anymore. So, yeah, man, I'm beyond hyped. I got the exact color. I got the color, all the minimum options I wanted, and way more than I ever thought I could ever have. And this has been literally, how long have I been talking about getting a new truck? Where I was like, it's happening. And then it was like, this can't happen anymore. And it's back on the table. No, we got
I don't know, probably like 3 or 4 years.
It's close to 6 years.
Yeah.
Is when this really started. But especially the last 3 years, I was like, we're going to make this happen. And just... So anyway, there it is. If you guys are interested in seeing it, I'll probably post it up on Instagram. But if you go to, you gotta be friends with me on Facebook. All right, I'll post it on Instagram probably tomorrow. It's not on the 603 Bass Facebook page, which, you know, like anybody can use, view. Actually, I think I have my personal Facebook page, which is basically an extension of the whole business, set to public that anybody can see it. But whatever, I'll post it. It's a beautiful truck. Never thought I'd own. It's literally the first new anything we've ever owned outside of like, you know, normal house stuff. So I don't know. For me, it's a pretty big deal. And
it's nice. I could smell it walking into the driveway.
Dude,
I was like, that smells nice and new.
It's funny because I said it to my wife tonight. I was like, this truck reminds me of Florida because we've gone to Disney 3 times.
Because it's retired?
Yeah. Since we got married in 2007. What do you do? 2007, 10, and 13. We haven't been back since. But every time we had a rental. And that's the only time I've ever been in like new vehicles for extended periods of time. So I remember that, like, I just associated that new car smell with Florida. So I get in there and this like nostalgia trip. Like,
it's nice, right?
Dude, it's...
Florida's great.
Say, dude, it was great. Not gonna lie. Last thing on this and we'll roll forward. I got a little emotional. And I legitimately said goodbye to my truck. Because I bought it in 2009. So it's 3 years old. Had 31,000 miles. I had it for 13 years. Traded in with 202,300 something miles. And like when everything was happening, right? I signed the whole 9 yards. Like, you want to get the last things out of the truck and we're good? I was like, yep. And I went out and like all of a sudden it hit me and I was like, oh, well, gave her a little pat on the dash and I was like, it's going to sound so stupid, but
I've seen that Pat a few times going up a hill with the boat behind us. And he's like, come on.
I do.
Come on, girl.
Like, caress
come on, girl.
It. I'm like, you got this, girl. I gave her a pat on the dash. I was like, thank you very much for everything you've done for me and my family. You got me everywhere I wanted to go, reliably and safely, and on to the next adventure. And I walked away. And no, not really. Oh. But like, dude, I don't get attached to sentimentally to, I guess, materialistic things like that. But it's not the truck. It is the truck.
I do. I have all my broken rods. Saved every single one of them.
So it was, it was good. But anyway, so yeah, new truck. There you go. Who else jumped in here while I was
It's
rambling
nice.
about
It has
trucks?
a goddamn like 46-inch screen on the dash.
Dude, it's a 14-inch screen. It's literally bigger than every graph of my boat.
Ridiculous. Just rip it out and put it on your boat. Put a 9-inch in there.
Should. Cameron, that was that fishing game. Yeah, buddy, Cameron, I remember you.
Oh, hi, Cam.
Oh, Chris, hey, friend. We catch some big old Florida bass when you're in Florida. Yeah, I know. I got to go there. Thank you very much, Drew. Appreciate it. Puts a damper on a new boat, though. No, it doesn't. If it was going to put a damper on a newer, not new boat was never in the cards because it's just... If you think new boats or new trucks are expensive, you haven't looked at new boats in a while, have you? Like,
ridiculous.
Dude, it's insane. Like, even to get like a 19-footer with, say, like 2 9-inch screens and some form of Livescope, doesn't matter what brand. It's you're talking like 70,000 for a 19.5-foot boat. And I already have a 19.5-foot boat with almost everything I want on it. I'm just missing one more screen and active target. So it's not out of the cards. A lot of things happening. We're making things work. Not going to happen anytime soon. Waiting to see what happens at the end of the year with work and potential payouts and everything. Bonuses, whatever the hell you want to call it. And we'll go from there. Oh, Cam, how's it going, buddy? Haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, talent, exactly. All right, so let's get into a very, very quick recap of the Weekend Fishing Report, and then it's open topic night. This is for you guys.
Where the hell did we go?
This isn't for us to talk to you. This is for you to talk to us and then us to respond. This is a very reactionary stream tonight. It's all about what you guys have to say to us. So bring it. Anyways, in the meantime, we went, where the hell we go? We went somewhere not new. Oh, way out west, past, you and Kyle went there this spring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Big old
I mean, it was
poopy.
fun. Caught a lot of fish, but it was nothing compared to what we were expecting
No, not even remotely.
with the way that place is supposed to fish. But it was still fun.
Yeah, all in all, I mean, we caught 22 fish. I think the biggest was yours at maybe 2.5 pounds.
Yeah, the first fish of the day.
Yeah, and it's second cast. Well,
Technically first. First cast was just like, man, there's a dock, I'll toss it real quick. And then I reeled in and turned around and bombed it way out into the middle of nothing. Because I knew that it dropped. We were like kind of up on this like super shallow flat. It's like maybe 3-4 feet. And then it just tanks down to like what, like 35, 40 feet.
yeah, I think so.
And then I just turned around and bombed it out there, open water sniper. And I was watching my line. I'm like, that should be on the bottom by now.
Why is it still going?
Why is it still going? And I lifted up and there was a fish on it already. Got on the fall and it was the biggest one of the day. And unfortunately, 2.5 pounds is not, I don't get excited about that at all.
No.
I look at him like, get out of here.
So we ended up putting together a pattern by the end of the day, but it was like Sunday was not a good day for fishing in general. I don't think it was. Things were just off. The bite was off. Like we were not really marking any fish, so they were being extremely boat shy. The sun didn't come out till like 12:30, almost 1 o'clock. So I think that really hindered things.
It was cold.
It was really cold to start the day.
First day that I've worn shorts in them.
And shorts and flip flops.
I don't ever really ever wear shorts. We got the FXR shorts and he got a pair. And
My fat ass was too big for him.
small. And he gave them to me, and I've worn them a couple times. And there's one of those days where I was like, yeah, it should be sunny. I didn't look at the weather or anything. And we get out there, and I'm like, is it going to like clear up anytime soon? And it was kind of cold.
It was chilly. But
shivering.
So this is the important thing. I guess sometimes we get a little, like, especially me, I definitely get caught up in just talking about what we did versus what we found. And that's the important thing. Water temps are starting to fall. From their crazy peak summer highs of low to mid 80s, we were getting some of these cooler nights where it's dropping to like mid to low 60s. And now water temps have dropped back down to like the mid 70s. So we're getting ready to turn the corner where things become a lot more consistent with the bite. Not that it's really been inconsistent, I guess, depending upon where you're at, both in skill, knowledge, and where you're fortunate enough to be fishing. But we're starting to turn the corner with just kind of that, like, instability in the weather as we're getting the shifting. We're still getting hot days, but it's getting colder at night. The fish are going to start doing a little bit of movement. We're not quite there yet for the big movements, but they're starting to move. And the thing we found with this lake, it's pretty big. It's got, I would say, the deepest areas are like 50-ish, 55-ish feet, but they're not super extensive, but big enough in relation to this body of water for how much area they cover. There's a lot of steep banks, like ridiculously steep banks, offshore rock piles in like 10 to 20, 25 feet. And very, very little vegetation. We tried the deep stuff. We tried the super shallow stuff. What ended up being the ticket was that like 15 to 20 foot mark on rock piles. Almost all the bites on the very outside edge of rock piles, which has been funny because we've been hammering vegetation for like the last 6 weeks, and it's been phenomenal. We get to a lake, there's no vegetation anywhere that like we've been fishing. We're like, well, it took us a while to figure out. The very few fish we did mark, they were pinned. We didn't mark like almost anything for bait fish. They were just scattered, man. But we made the most of it. It just ended up being jigs and deeper rock piles. Like I said, we put 22 fish on the boat.
Yeah, it's still a good day. It was just the weight wasn't there.
No, not even close. So, is what it is. Camden, you shut your mouth. I don't want to hear about ice fishing, nothing, ever, especially right now.
Yeah, it can creep somewhere.
So, and then actually, I mean, we went fishing Saturday afternoon, 30-second recap. We ended up catching, you ended up catching a 3 3/4, the biggest of the weekend on your friggin' depths. We went Saturday evening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Same deal on that one, just out like rock piles, 15 to 20 feet. That was it. So I don't know. Keep that in mind. And like everything, there was only one spot we fished that was what you would consider offshore, right? Where there's a sizable distance relative to the size of the lake, you know, like on a 5,000 acre lake, sizable distance from, we'll call it mainland structure, would be like 100 feet, 200 feet more. These were like 50 to 100 feet max away from the mainland. So there was a gap in the middle between mainland structure and the offshore humps, but those were still, there was one spot on both lakes Saturday and Sunday that produced, and everything else was back towards main lake points. Keep that in mind. Hopefully that helps you guys. On to the show. I already saw a question. We're going to go right for it. Back up. Camden. This is a great question. You talked very fondly of jigs at the high school bass meet. What are your all-time favorite locations for jig fishing? You first.
My favorite spots to fish jigs would be deep rock piles, or like I like fishing jigs really deep.
Yeah.
It's just, there's something about pulling like a big largie or a big smallie from like 35, 40 feet plus on a jig, like down in the rocks. Oh, that's gotta be my favorite.
Yeah, dude, like there's something different about like when you pitch it. I'm having a really hard time finding a happy zone for this. All right, looks good. There's something different about like pitching into vegetation or up against a dock or whatever, and you get thumped and it feels good. But like when you're working something 35, 45 feet deep, and especially like on a 150 foot cast, and you've got that light swoop in your line, so it's semi-taut, so there's really no slack per se, and you feel from that depth and that distance like a rod jarring thump. You can hear your line rattle in your freaking guide. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and you set the hook, and you can't really move it.
No.
And then you're like, oh no, am I stuck in a rock? And you just feel, whoom, whoom, whoom. You're like, oh, here we go. Every time. It's like the best bite ever.
Smallmouth or largemouth, it just, there's something special about that deep bite that you can't beat. I'm with you on that.
It's freaking awesome.
Second to that would be a dock. Like when you get a real nice skip and I get it up underneath there and you just know it's good, and the moment you engage reel, you just feel thump, or all of a sudden your line's already coming out the side of the dock. Like, yeah, all right, game on.
That or like pitching a jig like straight into the center of a tree.
Yeah.
That's like in the water, but it's like suspended above the bottom, like on the bank, and you pitch it straight down in, and you got to get the fish up through that stuff. Oh yeah.
That's another. Yep. No,
yeah.
I actually like that better than the dock. So deep is number one. Trees, like in the thick of it, is number two. docks is number 3. My favorite thing is like when you let it fall on a semi-tight line in a tree, you feel donk, 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 donk as you hit every branch on the way down, and then all of a sudden one of those branches goes donk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh shit.
or vice versa. When you're lifting it up, you're like, it feels that's a branch. It comes free. That's a branch. That's not a branch.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's just really hard to beat it.
Any bite on a jig is great.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. We'll go back to Cam. Jig bite has been fire. Dude, like, we talked about this a lot. Like, actually, the last, I think, 3 of the last 4 uploads have been all about jigs, and for good reason. This year, like, jigs in general, like, once you get confident with them, ice out to ice in. I don't care. Where you are, you will catch fish on jigs. Might not always be your best option, but you can catch fish on jigs every single trip you go out, ice out to ice in. I promise you. So, with that in mind, there's something magical about this year where the jig bite has been fire, as Cam has put it. Like, we usually do really well with it anyway, but this year really has exceeded expectations, especially for big fish.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's been phenomenal.
Last couple of years have been good for big fish.
Oh, yeah. Dan Nickerson, what do you guys think of underspin swim baits?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. 100 times yes.
Yes.
If they're suspended, that's one of the things I like picking up now. And that's something that I worked on
I got
last year.
Yeah, last year you got me onto the underspin bite, which was awesome.
New Hampshire Brownie Factory.
Yep.
That's a smallmouth only spot. And yeah,
It was so much fun.
it's a blast.
And then kind of dabbled with it a little bit the past few years, but never really got into fishing them much. But spy baits. The spy bait and the Okashira now are my 2 favorite, like hands down, my 2 favorite smallmouth baits out there. That's it.
Yep.
If I could go out for the rest of my life and throw 2 baits and get bit on them every time I go out, it would be underspin and spy bait. Not underspin. Okashira and spy bait.
That Okashira screwhead jig from Megabass is phenomenal because you can fish it so many different ways. Like wacky rig, Senko, and Ned rig, you just bomb it out, and more often than not, they get bit on the fall, especially wacky rig, Senko. You can do the same thing with Okashira, and it kind of almost does like a tube action where it corkscrews in the fall. So that's one way. 2, the way he's been fishing it primarily, and that's probably how I fish about half the time. Just bomb the thing and just slow, steady retrieve. Count it down to the depth you want, and depending on how heavy or light the head is, you just match your pace to try and keep it at that depth. And then you can fish it like a blade bait too, or you like kind of like yo-yoing a jig. So it's really light, but let it out, hit the bottom, and then like real slow, kind of like yo-yo it, and it's gonna come up at an angle and fall at an angle, almost like a little mountain peak. But it swims the whole time, and then it falls kind of all funky erratic on the way down because of that uneven screw on the front, the propeller. That is such a versatile jig, and I still think a lot of people sleep on it. Food for thought.
Yeah, because it's not that prop isn't spinning because they're 2 different size blades on them. So one side spinning and the other, well, obviously they're both spinning, but it's instead of it swimming straight like this, if they're both equal length blades, they would just swim straight. This thing, it swims it just kind of screws as it goes, and the action with the tail, the little swim bait on there, they can't resist it.
Yep. But underspin, like that's as simple as it gets, especially when you're targeting suspended fish, and works phenomenal. And I keep it simple. Like I usually just throw some sort of Kitech on there. I've used swing impact fats. I've used just the regular swing impacts. I've used the easy shiners. I've used the Megabass spark shads. Like all of those work phenomenally. And I can promise you that new swim bait coming out from Beast Coast is going to work killer on an underspin next year too.
Yeah, I already lost a tail on one of the ones we had.
Yeah, on the Okashira, on one of the prototypes. I forgot to tell him about that. So there's that. Actually, I want to, before we go to the next question, bring this up from David. Favorite spot to fish a jig? Everywhere. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's, when you get to our level, and I don't mean that like we're better than everybody else with the jigs, we're not. When you get to the level of anglers like ourselves, that's like our favorite way to fish, there is almost zero instances where I won't throw a jig. I have a jig style and weight for every single application I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Anywhere from a quarter to an ounce, pretty much.
Yeah, seriously. Keep them coming. We're raffling. Wow, we're rifling through these really fast. Quinn, from the info I got from you at the seminar in New Hampshire at the Junior Bassmaster Tourney, I got a 4.2 pound smallie.
Hell yeah!
Round of applause, sir. Nice job.
Sick, dude.
I want to know,
Congrats.
was that the dimiki or was it something else? Because I'm pretty sure you're going to tell me it's a dimiki. And if
I hope it's dimiki. That'd be sick.
yeah, dude. Oh, I got something to tell you about a smalley spot later, by the way. I can't remember. I can't forget that. It's a lake we both know we haven't been to. And I was talking to one of our subscribers there. He was asking me questions about it today. And I was like, I've never been there, but I've always wanted to. But I know our buddy Kyle goes there often. And he was telling me what he's caught out of there. I was like, no. You got to, yeah, we'll talk later. Anyway, dude, that's awesome. Congrats. Camden, I'm not even gonna look at your thing. I saw ice. You're done. You're done. I'll put you in timeout. Pulling up a massive large from up deep is such a good feeling. Damn right. DDM Rocket. Hey friend, how you doing? Speaking of swim baits, what loose Super Duty model do you guys recommend for throwing 2 to 4 ounce swim baits? Thanks for putting on a great show. Thank you for watching and for the feedback. Greatly appreciated. I don't remember the exact model. 1 second. It's literally right there. Well, which one do you have?
I don't know. Mine's up. I think mine's up to 8 ounces
Oh, no, yours is 10.
or 10 ounces. Because I literally, I don't have many big swim baits. I have the depths, and I got like rat, and I got the monk, and a couple other things. But my main,
There's a lot going on here. Don't worry.
my main bait big bait that I throw is the depths 250, which is 6.5 ounce bait, which I throw on. It's pretty much the same size as that, which you could get away with that too on that.
Yeah, 1 to 4. Yeah, as long as you cast
1 to
carefully.
4, yeah.
So this is the SD 711 HLH. It's 7 foot 11 inch, heavy, fast.
I have the heavy
Rated
moderate.
1 to 4 ounces. I have 2 of these, and they're phenomenal. I really like that. That's try and do this without. That's a Storm Arashi Glide.
Yeah.
That one that is.
Yep.
And I don't
You could
remember how.
send
I think it's like 2.5 to 3 ounces, somewhere in that
Those,
range.
yeah, I think they're 2 to 2. Yeah,
Cast it like
they're
a
under
dream.
they're under 3.5.
Yep, I've thrown a couple of 4 ounce baits on it, and it seriously it handles it great. I love those rods; they are phenomenal. And then Andrew's got the one that's rated 4 to 10 ounces.
That thing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I with it being such a heavy rated rod, I went with the moderate, and it just slings the baits instead of it like snapping on the cast. It's just like woof, and the hook set on it is it's phenomenal. I love that rod.
Oh yeah, Gordy. Besides jigs, what do you like to throw when the fall bite starts?
Jigs,
Swim jigs with swim baits.
jerk
No.
baits. You can go back. You can start working a lot of jerk baits again. I mean, that's
Yeah,
in the fall. I pretty much only throw jerk baits in the fall and in the spring. I know they work well in the summer still too. You can crack the shit out of them, but I like working them in the spring and the fall with the transition. Jerk baits, chatterbait, because those fish are munching on anything. They're trying to just bulk up for the winter,
feast mode.
so they're eating. They're trying to eat as much as possible. So This is probably one of your better times, like more likely times to get a bigger fish on a bigger bait, like throwing like glides or just
Crankbaits.
crankbaits. Ooh, square
Reactionary bites.
bills, spinnerbait.
Spinnerbait. Like, so it's funny because when I did the the high school bass fishing seminar last week at New Hampshire Fish and Game headquarters up in Concord, that was kind of the gist of what we were there for. Myself and the other 3 presenters. Matt Lee, who is a kayak angler, really good, also works for Fish and Game. Sean Graves, he's on the board for the NHIAA, which is the governing body for the high school tournaments, as well as the Keene High School coach. And then Ray Meyer, who just does like literally everything inside of anything bass fishing in New Hampshire. Bass Nation, New Hampshire Junior Bass Masters, you name it. So with it being geared towards the high school tournaments, I was like, okay, well, I got to think of all my best baits and narrow it down to my top 2, maybe 3 to talk about in the fall. And I was thinking for largemouth, and I was like, why can I only think of jigs? That's all I can think of is jigs. And I'm going through like old photos from years and years and years. I'm like, jig, 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 jig. I'm like, okay, I know there's something else in my brain, it's just not going to right now. And I really had to think about it. And swim jig with a swim bait on the back. And I mean, I'll even throw a 5-inch Kitech or like any other version of a swim bait that looks like a Kitech on the back of a 3/8 ounce swim jig. That is one of my best producing things that I throw in the fall. Anywhere around vegetation, just outside of it, literally just swimming it. I'm not doing anything other than bombing it, letting it fall down 2 feet, and just swim it back. And I have caught some of my biggest fish doing just that. And right behind that, chatterbait or spinnerbait, because it's one of those I can tell you literally only 2 days where I've caught fish on both. It's always been one or the other that goes off, and I throw both.
Spinnerbait and chatterbait.
Yep. But spinnerbait ends up being way more consistently better for me. 90% of the time, I don't even throw a trailer on it. Just a spinnerbait, and I'll bounce it. Anytime you can deflect it off anything too, like that's key. Those are my 3 big things for largemouth. For smallmouth, topwater, dimiki rig, Ned rig, not drop shot. Which is funny because Quinn has a question below that I'm going to get to next. I end up, you catch a ton of fish, ton of smallmouth on a drop shot this time of the year, but the quality's not always there for me. I end up doing better fishing something they're either going to eat on the fall or is hanging in the middle of the water column. So those are my top 3. There you go for both smallmouth and largemouth. And then there's Quinn's question. What do you guys think of a drop shot, especially in the fall? What do you think about a drop shot right now? The silence should tell you everything.
I don't. I just. I'm sure we can catch them on it. I just don't want to.
Yeah, no, dude.
To be completely honest with you, I just don't want to catch them on drop shot.
I enjoy it, and this year has been terrible for it. And the funny thing is, in years past, drop shot was usually really good to me, but then I guess kind of like my threshold for what I consider to be a good fish has changed dramatically over the years. And obviously it keeps going up for like that low point, and especially when I'm thinking like tournament mindset, which is where my mind has really been hard the last 4 years because of the high school tournament stuff, like trying to put these kids on numbers, but also good enough to make them, have them make the cut to the state championship. And it's been paying off pretty well by not fishing a drop shot. There's a certain point when they go in suspended mode that the effectiveness of it just drops off dramatically. That's my personal opinion on it. I know other guys that swear by it and they do really well. I've seen it more often than not that it is not the thing to go to because they don't want to eat it out the bottom. And then when you drop it suspended, that weight throws them off and they just don't want to eat it half the time. So I'll throw a dimiki rig instead. And not to say you can't catch fish on it. You can pull up to like any point right now, anywhere in the Lakes region, New Hampshire, 20 to 30 feet, and you'll pluck up fish, but the chances of it being a good fish, I'm not so sure. I mean, if you're out there and you're seeing a lot of fish pinned to the bottom, regardless of depth, I'm still going to throw it. I'll throw it every time. But the consistency has been pretty lacking. Don't know if it's just me. I haven't been looking in the right areas. Not sure. All I know is I have other techniques I'd rather rely on consistently, so that's what I do.
Kyle, don't listen to these jokers. Drop it like a shot. You've been saying that for years.
So, I don't know, man. It's
He always has drop shot tied on.
I do, too. It's just, like, especially the last 2 years, like even throwing a Ned rig, and I saw Cam Yates about penduluming.
Penduluming.
Well, penduluming. There you go. Ned rigs.
Swinging it.
And I've done that. And that works. There's something about a drop shot when the fish are not really on the bottom that I haven't figured out a way to do it effectively. So it's not my first choice.
I just don't like drop shot. It's a pain in the ass to tie it.
Yeah. Camden, your comment is next. I'm not touching it. I'm not talking about ice.
Pendulum.
Well, actually, hang on. Before we get to Ben, because Cam, we'll swing back to Ben, but this goes really well with what we just talked about. So Cam Yates, 2 things. Have you noticed green pumpkin has been working better than black and blue? And for suspending smallies, have you pendulumed? There we go. A Ned rig. I've been catching a lot like that recently. Yes, 100% yes on that first one, and 1,000% yes on the second one.
You know, it's actually hilarious how I caught that first fish the other day. I cast out and just clicked and let it pendulum back.
So we haven't been doing it with Ned rigs, we've been doing it with jigs. And that started like a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago at this point. Because like we ended up having like probably 10 fish at this point. Specifically in this scenario, I forget how many fish we had in the boat, but it's about like 10 fish. Go to like, cast it out, let it fall on slack line so it falls where you hit, and then go to reel and it's like, oh geez, I already have a fish. I remember looking at Andrew, I was saying like, you know what? I'm gonna let this fall on, like I'm gonna engage the reel and let it fall on tight line. So not necessarily pendulum back towards me, but like kinda. It was very, very light tension on the line. And all of a sudden, I think it was like the second or third cast, we both did it and we both were like, yep, no, I felt that on the fall. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing it with jigs since like 5 or 6 weeks ago, and it has been working phenomenal. So yes, 100% yes. Okay, back to Ben. Okashira or dimiki this time of the year? Yes. Both. 100% both. Mm-hmm. If you're too impatient to deal with an Okashira, with a dimiki rig and you don't really have electronics to be able to see how a fish is coming up to it and reacting, because the bite's not always automatic, and you need to know what depth they're at so you know how to stop it above their head, because that, to me, that's the magic of a dimiki. You bring it down above their head. You don't bring it down to the fish. You let them come up to it. If you don't have the patience or the means necessary, then Okashira, 100%. And
Sorry, I was reading his comments. I was out there. What were you saying?
Well, he said Okashira or dimiki this time of the year. I said both. Okashira, if you have the patience and some sort of electronics that you can see how deep the fish are, see your bait and the relationship to them, so you drop it and keep it above their heads.
Mm-hmm. If you don't have electronics, or you know how deep you are in the lake by like mapping and like by the bathymetry, is it bathymetry? Bathymetric? Bath maps? By your contours, by just looking at a map and you know on the lake where you are if you don't have electronics, just try and go like halfway down the water column. If it's clear water, they're going to see it, and they're going to know it's there no matter what.
Spot on.
I mean, I was cast, we're in Vermont a few weeks ago, and I knew I was casting over roughly around 35 to 40 feet of water. I think it was 35. And I just counted down 10 seconds and then just started slow rolling it and caught a 5 1/4 smallie doing that.
Yep. And that, like, this is one of the things I don't know that we've ever actually taken the time to stress often enough, but it's important. When smallmouth are suspended and say they're 25 to 35 feet down, they will still come up and crush a topwater. So as long as you have that subsurface, like 10 to 15 feet, like Andrew just said, that's good enough. And that works. For a dimiki rig, I don't know, I feel like it's got to be a little bit closer to them. So, like, if you're out, say you're fishing one of the glacial lakes in New Hampshire, or you're wherever, you're somewhere, you know there's smallmouth in the area, you're in like 60 feet of water. Drop that dimiki rig down to 20 feet and just let it hang for a while and see how it goes. Mm-hmm. And if that doesn't work, but you're confident this is the right way to go.
10, 15 feet.
Yep. I would say like 20, 25, 30, like just go in 5-minute increments and just hold it there. Like that's it. And it works. Works really well. You can also do like what Cam was saying, you can pendulum it back too. So bomb that thing out there. I'd say you're in 60 feet of water. Yeah, I would throw it probably like 1/4 ounce head. I'd actually come down because I usually throw it on 3/8. Mm-hmm. Throw it out 80 to 100 feet, and as soon as it hits the water, engage your line, let it fall on tight line, so it just like has this beautiful swooping arc, and it's going to hit the bottom eventually, but at least you know you're covering the whole water column. JJ Fishing, Glacial Lake largemouth tips. I don't like this question.
Jigs and glides. That's what I do. If there's no pike, that's a lie.
Dude,
Carolina rig.
Plenty of techniques, but how do you find them? Because I don't know.
Glacial lakes, if there's any sort of like actual like grass or like really tall grass, like where there's literally like a wall of grass, just fish the edge of that. I'd start with the outside, and if that's not panning out, there should be an inside line, and go try and work the inside line too, because they're either going to be looking up towards shore or they're going to be out down deep looking out towards the deep, depending on the time of day.
Yeah, pretty much. The hard part with glacial lakes is trying to find those good spots. And like, dude, it's weird. You go to Winnipesaukee, and if you're if you've grown up fishing just kettle ponds, your standard New England kettle pond, and you go up to Winnie, like you'll look at a spot and like that's money literally anywhere else you fish, and in Winnie it sucks. It's the weirdest thing. I still have a hard time wrapping my head around it. Like you see the juiciest downed tree, nice little rock point, little vegetation around it, and it's like 9 times out of 10 I can't catch anything on it.
It's funny because like one of the first times that I went up there with you, there was this juicy tree, and I mean like right on the edge of where it starts to curl over into deeper water, and this tree was just sitting in maybe 5 feet of water.
And that's like
that's
literally anywhere else you see it, you're like,
money.
I will catch a fish on that 9 times out of 10.
He's just like, there's no fish on it. I almost guarantee it. I'm like, bullshit. I cast at that thing probably 7 or 8 times, and we go over there. There's literally not even a bluegill on it. I'm like,
Nothing.
I don't understand. There was a couple rock bass, but that's about it. I'm like, come on.
Dude, glacial lakes, when especially there's a lack of vegetation in a lot of the areas, you're just dealing with sand and rock, it's really hard to pin down largemouth. Docks can be your best friend. That's about it that I can tell you. That's one of the things that continues to confound me. But we're working on it. Cam, thank you, buddy. See, we don't talk about ice, we're good. Last video where you guys were fishing, where jig fishing was fire. Thank you.
Which one was that?
That was the Vermont one, where you caught your giant smallie.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Oh, Talon, I'll check that. Check your Insta. So waiting for dinner. Nice. Cam. Okay, there. David, I was thinking that. Oh, sorry, that's not. There we go. Cam. All the speeches at that event were very amazing. Ray was very inspiring. It sounds like a great dude. Well, thank you very much. Everybody did a phenomenal job. I know I was really happy with myself. A little nervous to go first, but I hoped I had set a good tone for it. But like the first 30 seconds, I was a little jittery, and then after that, like I just got in my groove and cruised. And then it was a treat to be able to sit there and listen to Matt from his perspective, especially being part of Fishing Game and dealing with fish on a more scientific level. So hearing his information and perspective, and then 2 guys that I deeply respect and think the world of, both Sean and Ray, 2 of the nicest guys I ever meet, incredibly knowledgeable, incredibly helpful, and to be able to hear them speak, like, it was a phenomenal experience. For anybody that knows a high school angler that is on their high school fishing team or is trying out for it or is one of those, next year when Fishing Game does this, I highly recommend you go. It really was a phenomenal thing. They do bring out some great guests. I'm not including myself in that. I couldn't have been there. If I wasn't there, it would have been phenomenal. I had nothing to do with that. I deflect everything to the other 3 individuals out there. They did an incredible job. Kim, drop shot ain't doing crap unless you're on perch fish. Smelt fish ain't working because they're all suspended. Yeah, I'd buy that. I would buy that, absolutely. New Hampshire Life, hey friend, sorry, we're starting to fall behind a little bit. We're catching up fast. David, why asked, is anyone catching smallmouth on power techniques? There you go. Kim, my coach swears by drop shots. Oh, here we go. Gordy again. Do you tend to increase or decrease the size of your baits in the fall?
I increased the
home.
bejesus out of them.
3/8 ounce full skirted jig is big enough, and a 5-inch swim bait. It has literally been like my go-to for years. Mm-hmm. And we crush fish on those things. Big swim baits on the back of bladed jigs. Most of the time, spinnerbait, you don't need to do anything because that's a pretty big profile in and of itself anyway. But I have thrown 5-inch swim baits on the back, and it's been wicked good.
I am 100% throwing a 5-inch spark shad on the back of a jackhammer.
I don't know how that's going to work on the jackhammer.
It's going to work great. I can guarantee.
Dude,
I already know how I'm going to do it.
No, don't ruin those like that. I have a ton of Miyagi's. The Miyagi on the back, the Miyagi is a swim bait from Beast Coast Fishing. It's a 4.65-inch swim bait.
Yeah, I killed it up. Well, we killed it up on Champlain with that.
It is a big freaking profile, but holy crap does it work. Like, that's a meal. It looks like you're casting a little freaking bluegill. It's a bulky presentation, but dude, they choke it. Like, even 1-pounders will eat it.
4 3/4 inch or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's 4.65.
Yeah, so just over,
Yeah.
almost 5-inch. That works really well.
Our buddy Kyle, Slunch Peace Crew. Live scoping, you retrieve a drop shot and bring it right to a suspended fish. Kill it, they bite. Well, that's cheating. That's what all the internet's telling me, Kyle. Using your active target and your live scopes, that's cheating. That's not for real anglers. It's cheating. Cam, what's your opinion on the last resort wacky rig Senko? I see a lot of people in my high school team solely fish wacky rig Senko.
He loves it.
If I'm fishing a new body of water or I'm in a tournament, you better believe I have a Senko tied on. It is an incredibly effective yet insanely boring technique for me. I catch fish on it wherever I go. There's a reason why a lot of people throw it. It just works. I can't stand it. But if I'm fishing a new body of water, I'm trying to break it down as fast as I can, you better believe I have two tied on, wacky rig and a weightless Texas rig. Same deal if I'm in a tournament, and always when I'm frog fishing or topwater fishing in any way, shape, or form. If I'm topwater fishing, I will have whichever, sometimes I have both, literally laid down, bait already set at the perfect height from rod tip that I need to be able to get a cast off really quick. So the moment like frog bite blows up, I miss, I burn it back, high speed reel, like literally throw it down, pick up the other rod, just fire it out. And I catch that fish much more often than not. Same deal with like treble hook topwaters. I miss it, not a problem. Wacky rig Senko on the way to save the day. And it almost always does. It's the stupidest thing and it works extremely well. And you don't always have to fish it, but if you're not throwing it in a tournament, shame on you. If you're not throwing it in a new lake when you're trying to break it down fast, shame on you. You should always have one tied on in those instances. Fun fishing, take it or leave it. Jason, that pendulum is great for suspended roaming smallies. Livescope. Cheater. I'm kidding. Cam Yates. Senko always works out, but recently a jig has literally been out fishing for me. Dude, how many days do we have? Vermont. 2 days we're up there in the promised land in Vermont. And when we were up there for that 5 days. And the first day we were guiding our client, Dean. And it was like 6 hours into the day. And we were killing him on jigs. Mm-hmm. But I was desperate for like another big fish because we were already sitting on 4 big ones. I was like, if we get another like 4, like heavy 4 or 5, like we've got a mega bag. And I looked at Andrew, I'm like, I'm throwing a Nico rig Senko. And I threw just a regular wacky rig Senko. I literally never got bit on it. And I threw it fairly often on and off between the jig and that for 3 hours. Mm-hmm. We'd find a beautiful spot. Like we'd catch, like one of those two would catch a fish. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick up the Senko and pick that thing apart. And not get bit for like the 15 minutes we worked this spot. And meanwhile, they're still catching fish. I'm like, okay, put the Senko down and literally first cast multiple times. I caught a fish on the jig. Mm-hmm. That happened multiple times this summer. It's wild.
Senko gospel.
Another one from Cam. I'm still working these through as they're coming through chronologically here. But I'm seeing Jason calm down the Livescope, Randy. I hate when people say Livescope is cheating. They sound so stupid. I will mock those idiots with my last dying breath. I know plenty of anglers that have it, that sucked before they have it, and believe it or not, they still suck. Mm-hmm. The tools don't make the angler makes the tools. Mm-hmm. Simple as that, man. I mean, you could have the world's greatest driver, and you take a golfer that, averages, say, 110 on an 18-hole course. It's not also going to make him hit 90. He's probably still going to hit 110.
He's going to hit it further in the woods.
Spot on. Anyway, Cam, question for you guys. What? Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I highlighted it, but we didn't address it yet. Question for you guys. Natural colored soft plastics or unnatural crazy colors? You are better qualified to answer this.
100% of the time, I'll always start with natural colors. Mm-hmm. Like right now, working something a little darker, like some like browns and green pumpkins. And if that's not working, I will throw on a trailer with a different color, or I'll always change the trailer before I change the actual jig itself. Mm-hmm. I think the craziest color crazy jig color I've caught was pink, but that was like one certain situation where I just had it and then I caught a smallie on like a pink, I think it was like a robo worm. This is when I was by myself with, actually, I think I was just by myself. And I had a pink jig. I think it was from Gordy.
Probably.
Might have been from Gordy. And I threw the jig out, and a fish picked it up on the fall. And I was like, okay, that works. And that was the first and only time I've ever caught a fish on a pink jig. And there was nothing after that. But I will always start with natural colors 100% of the time.
Yeah, I'm right there with Andrew. And it's rare that I go to like any exotic colors. If I do, it's really only for smallmouth, and my only exotic color I have is chartreuse. And that's it. There's other colors. Well, I have Morning Dawn for some drop shot baits, but I don't really throw that even that often, and it's exotic, but not like outlandishly exotic. But I'll start with like...
Not like Jerry's spinnerbait.
No. I do have a 100% Charlie Moore special. All chartreuse. It's not really a Charlie Moore thing. It's just, I remember seeing him throwing it when I was a kid, when I used to watch him all the time. Just 100% chartreuse spinnerbait, and it slays. Smallies, largies, clear water, stain water, doesn't matter. It is literally my go-to spinnerbait, and it kills. But yeah, I start with all natural colors, and then from there, the only thing I do is like basically what Andrew said. I'll just start mixing and matching my colors. Go from there. It's rare that I feel like I have to throw something
90% of the time, you don't need to change the jig. You need to figure out the trailer and the action of the trailer.
Yep,
It's
and
usually money.
Going into Dan Nickerson's question, which is perfect along the line, this weight.
Half ounce. Football.
Yep. Sometimes if you've got a half-ounce jig, they do not want that. They don't want it rocketing past them because they'll probably see it, but not really in a chasing mood. Sometimes it needs to fall really, really slow. So that's the other thing I'll play around with first. Again, like I'll jig trailer style, then I'll play around with different color combinations, and then I'll play with weights. One of those three things gets it done.
The more action on your trailer and the bigger the trailer is, the slower it will fall. So changing your jig out may not be the best move. If you have a half-ounce jig and you have a teeny tiny little swim bait trailer on there or something, that thing's going to rocket straight down. If you have the same jig with, say, I don't know, like a full-size rage bug on there, that's going to slow it down because there's just more area to slow it down going as it's falling towards the bottom.
Yeah. Dan, Andrew already answered you on this. He said half ounce. I'm with him. And especially the way we've been fishing jigs a lot lately, a lot of our fishing has been in 30 plus feet of water. So half ounce and 3/8 ounce. I literally have 4 jig setups when I'm out there fishing a lot lately, just because I've repurposed other rods to be able to do that because we're so dialed in. Now it's coming down to the one thing I wanted to work on this year was making subtle changes to my jig presentation, like some of my other go-to techniques, and expanding upon my capability and knowledge on them. We've both been working on that hard this year, and it has absolutely paid out. So I will have 4 nearly similar jigs, but the key differences will be I'll have 2.5 ounce and 2 3/8 ounce. And I always start with a half ounce. I'm that deep. And lately, more often than not, that's been working great. A 3/8 ounce, though, if I need to slow it down just a smidge, has been it. I rarely have to go any lighter than that, thankfully, because it takes forever, even for a 3/8 ounce jig, to say get down to like 40 feet. But I do it, and it works. Although if I'm throwing 3/8, I really prefer throwing that in a spinning rod, 10-pound braid, so it's super thin to a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. It helps it get it down. It helps. I feel like I'm much more cognizant of what I'm doing because of that, like, near instant response and feel from the braid because of the no stretch. So I feel like I do a better job of not moving it too much when I'm that deep fishing 3/8 ounce or lighter. But half ounce all the way to start, I'll go down to 3/8. Rarely do we need to adjust from there. Cam, although I can probably say you're the coolest guest. Well, thank you. RSL Fishing. Hey, friend. How you been? Thanks for stopping in.
Oi. I said yo backwards.
What'd you say?
Oi.
Oi.
I said yo backwards.
Alec, thank you very much and welcome. Cam, thank you very much for reminding me. I used to ask at the beginning of the show every time. I'm going to put this on your plate to remember to ask every week now. Kind of like the outro.
Subscribe.
And?
Like.
There you go.
And share and bell notification and slap the camera as they do and whatever.
Transition. I like this because you're right. Cam Yates, let's be real. If you don't have a Livescope on a Smalley Lake in a tournament, your odds of winning go way down. Now, it's still very possible to win without it, but it happens a lot less now. I fully agree with that. When fish are suspended, especially,
spend more time fishing instead of searching.
God, dude, it is insane. It is so hard to friggin' nail those down. With Livescope, that changes everything. Because like there's going to be some key areas that if you know what you're doing, you've identified like, okay, they got to be somewhere here close, and be able to pull up to a spot and literally see everything top to bottom within, we'll say, reliably 100 feet from the boat, like without question, and just 360 degree to live scope. Okay, nothing here. Or all of a sudden, oh, boom, okay, I thought they were here since we saw them yesterday. They just moved 100 feet that way. This is great. And you got them on lockdown. And if you already know what you're doing, then that just makes you 10 times dangerous. It just cuts way, way down in your search time. I can't wait to get it.
You can also do it with side imaging, too. You can find
when they're suspended, it's a lot harder to see them.
With side imaging?
Maybe
depending
with Mega.
on how far from the boat they are. As long as they're in the cone, you're going to see them.
I would like to think so. With Mega side imaging, it's probably a lot easier because it's just a much, much, much better picture. Jesus, what's going on upstairs?
Okay.
He's not okay. I can hear him crying. I might go up and check on that in a second. But yeah, like for my low rants, which is 800 kilohertz versus the 1400 kilohertz, 1400 megahertz, whatever. Big difference for what you get for clarity. So
we thought it was good.
We thought it was really good before.
what he had. And then we got the Mega, and it's like, holy, you can literally see everything. It's huge difference.
Cam, I'm looking at your pictures. Yep, top one is smelt. It's the bottom one is not what you think it is. No, it's something
not.
else. There's
it's a darter.
Darter, or what the hell is the other one? It's like Eastern mudfish or something weird.
Because I spent
not a goby.
Probably 4 days having a conversation with Vermont Fish and Game, back and forth emails, and came to the conclusion that I found that exact same fish in a smallmouth's mouth, and it was some sort of darter.
Yeah, we that was last year or the year before?
That was this year.
That was this. Okay.
That was early.
No, that was late winter last year.
That was late winter last year. You're right.
We legitimately thought we had a fish spit up a goby on us in Vermont, and we were like,
uh-oh.
"Oh my god,
uh-oh,
that could be good. It could be bad. It changes the way they fish, that's for sure, but it makes them big and fat." And we were losing our minds. We're like, "There's no way." But I mean, it looked like a goby to a T.
Mm-hmm. Just the tail was different.
Yeah.
The tail comes down to a taper on those, and a goby actually has like a tail.
Yep. Talon. Jigs, chatterbaits, swim jigs all change and match so well no matter the trailer you put on it. Spot on, friend. Keep it coming, guys. We'll keep this going for a little bit. Although we're getting close to an hour, so I mean, literally at any point, whenever you guys start slowing down, we'll call it a night. But you guys have got some really good questions, so please keep them coming. Cam, never knew Andrew was so wise in the density field, so scientific.
I'm actually pretty smart.
He is a very smart man.
When I'm fishing, you know that freaking that gif of what's his face? Is it Zach Galifianakis with all the math
numbers.
Equations? That's what's going on in my head when
From
I'm
The
thinking
Hangover.
about what my jig is doing down there. Any other time, it's just static.
Yeah. Cam, so this is an excellent thing. So because like everybody at this point that has put any amount of time into bass fishing, especially watching the pros, has seen what the St. Lawrence River and Lake Ontario and like Lake Erie and all those great fisheries have done for the size of smallmouth because of the gobies. What a lot of people don't know about, and I certainly didn't know about, is the way it has changed the landscape of how those fisheries fish because of the gobies.
Good luck catching them on anything other than a freaking drop shot and jig.
Pretty much.
And tube and anything on the bottom.
It's like 90% of your fishing year-round becomes bottom contact baits, and that's it. And talking to a lot of guys from up that way, it's like, yeah, I mean, there's still times where you can get them on like spinner baits and top water and all that crap, but gobies become like the by far primary forage for these bastards. Perch still still remain a thing.
It's like having a buffet on your night table, like on your nightstand.
They're everywhere.
They wake up and they're like,
freaking everywhere.
Good night.
So it completely changes it. So like if you watch the elites, right? And they were at Champlain last year, not this year. Although they're coming back next year, I'm going to sign up for the Bass Elites Marshall program. And I want to be a marshal for the Elite Series tournament on Champlain this fall.
That'd be sick.
That would be awesome. 3 days to ride around with different pros. That would be a hell of an experience.
That'd be cool.
Fingers crossed.
What the hell's on Marshall? They just hang out.
Yeah, you literally just hang out. And then if you want, you can
weigh.
enter in their weights in a bass track and stuff. But otherwise, you just hang out in the boat.
I want to go.
I think it's cheap. I think it's relatively cheap. It's like either $100 or $150 a day. So I mean, it's not Or no, that might actually be total. I'll have to
bad
double
at
check.
all.
And then, like, everybody I know has done it has said nothing but phenomenal things about the experiences 95% of the time. There's been a couple of pros, and I will not name names, that people were not very fond of. So there's that. But yeah, anyway. Dude, yeah, like, would gobies be sick in New Hampshire? Hell yeah, because all of a sudden we'd be able to finally give more forage specific to the smallmouth and even largemouth. But it would completely change the dynamic of how they fish.
What about pike?
Well, then there's that, yeah. But then, like, back to the point I was trying to make about Champlain, look at how diverse of a fishery that is. You can catch smallmouth like any way you can imagine out there. It's insane, and we've experienced it ourselves multiple times. And you go to St. Lawrence, it's like drop shot, Ned rig. It's just totally different. But it would be sick.
Winnie would be cool without rock bass.
Winnie would be great without rock bass. Carl! Holy crap, Carl! How you doing, friend?
How you bootin', bud?
How you doing, bud? How you bootin', bud?
How's your egg?
Dan, if you had one jig to use, what would it be and why?
Open water sniper and dirt bag.
I'll make mine a little bit more generic, but it is essentially the same answer. Football jig, skirted football jig, which is the open water sniper. That would still be my number one choice. Half ounce, I'll go stealth craw. Because I like that because it looks both like a kind of like midsummer molting-ish colored crawfish, but it also, depending upon how you kind of dress it up, kind of looks like a perch. So I like that about it. It's phenomenal. Yeah, perfect. There you go, David. Bassmasters of the 90s, St. Lawrence River, 12 to 14 pounds a day would win.
It's double that now.
What was it? They said 40-something bags were over 20 pounds this year at the elites.
I believe it. It's
on
5
day
4
one.
Pounders.
Maybe it was more than that. I think
it's not hard to do up there.
No, I think it was 49 bags were 20 pounds or better. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Plus, it produced not only the first, but the first 2 Century Belt Club members with just smallmouth. So that 2 anglers over 4 days averaged over 5 pounds per fish. That's nuts.
That's pretty good.
That is absolutely nuts.
That's not bad.
Not at all. I clicked the wrong thing. Sorry. Jason, log perch look like gobies, especially half digested. Think they are in champ. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, Cam, I'm hoping my coach puts me on the boat for the Winnie qualifier. Been trying really hard, and apparently only 2 kids per boat. Kind of sucks. So in years ago, it used to be 2 boats per school, and I guess it's been difficult for schools to get people with boats to be able to sign up to do this. So that's why it's down to 1 boat, 2 kids. Dude, all I can say is that if you can't make it this year, you know what you got to do for next year. You got to bust your ass to learn absolutely everything you can. You got to be the smartest kid, or one of the smartest kids on the team. You got to know all the right things that you should be doing or could be doing for fishing for Winnipesaukee that time of the year. Know your shit up front and have a good attitude. As long as you're having fun, you can execute everything on your own as far as, like, you know, not tying and everything. You're efficient in what you do. It goes back to everything I said at the seminar. And having as thorough of an understanding as possible as to what is most likely to be successful on that lake at that time of the year, you can't ask for fairer than that. Then it's just going to come down to executing better than everybody else in the boat during your trials. So, I don't know, man. Fingers crossed for you. I really hope you pull it off this year.
That'd be sick.
Slaunch Beast. Kyle. Beast Coast flipping jig and a bruised 3/8 ounce. Best jig in the market for casting and flipping. Wholeheartedly agree. They are phenomenal jigs. There's a reason why I only fish Beast Coast jigs. They literally make everything you need.
Damn good.
They really are. Their colors are on point, too. Like, really on point. I can't wait for this new swim bait. You guys are going to lose it.
Yeah, the new swimbait's sick.
Adventures with Prez. Do you like a longer 7-foot plus rod for finesse or shorter 6'9"?
Longer. Mine, I'd like longer the better for finesse.
Concur. I concur.
You concur.
I concur, with one exception. I do have one of my... It's a spinning rod, so I guess by default that technically makes it a finesse rod, but it's really not. It's a 6'9", medium heavy fast, rated 3/8 to 3/4. It does not cast for crap with 3/8, but you throw a half ounce and especially 3/4 ounce on there, and that rod was like, it sings when you cast it. it is at its happiest and best performing with 1/2 ounce, but specifically 3/4 ounce jigs. And that has been phenomenal for that. But literally all my other finesse rods are 7.2 and longer. Alec, I got skunked yesterday for the first time all year, and most of August has been a struggle for numbers and quality. How do I not suck anymore?
How do I not suck anymore?
I need water. Well,
I don't know. Take some time and throw a glide. It's always fun. You never catch fish on it, but when you do, it's usually a good one.
Or it's a fish finder, which is that in and of itself
Or
is fun.
it's a fish finder, like he's just said.
Take over.
Okay, I'll take over. My biggest pet peeve at the high school meet, where the kid angler said crayfish instead of crawfish. There is literally like probably 30 names for those little things. That's all right. If you don't like crayfish, whatever. It's okay. East Coast makes my favorite baits I own. I'm actually going to order some more. You absolutely should. 7.2. Is that all the... $7.2 is money. Yeah. All my finesse rods, I used to stick around like the 7-foot mark for my finesse rods, and then I got a 7.3 or a 7.4. It was like, I think it was for drop shot, or it was a shaky head rod, and I ended up never throwing shaky head on. I just used it as my drop shot rod, just because the longer rod just worked a lot better for me. Drew, you gonna kill a deer this year? I friggin' hope so, dude. I am gonna put some time in the woods.
Wait, where is that? Down there. I gotta remember to bring like a gallon of water down when we do these. Dude, I talk so much, my throat ends up hurting really fast.
That's not the only reason why.
Hey! Back to this. Did you elaborate enough on this?
On him?
Yeah.
How do I not suck anymore? No, I went right to the other questions.
You
I don't know. Where are you fishing? What are you doing?
Have you slowed down? That's the first thing I'm going to say.
He has
August
slowed down
is
because I remember a
tough.
couple weeks ago saying that he had slowed down and was catching fish.
Yep. It's August is weird. It's kind of like spring fishing, where like they could be super shallow or super deep because these first few cold nights when the water temperature actually starts being impacted, and like, I mean, it's in some areas it's already dropped 10 degrees on the average surface temp. So things are starting to change, and dude, they could be anywhere. They could be in inches of water or 50 feet of water. So you just have to be really open-minded and literally search from the bank to 50 feet.
You also got to think we are in a drought.
Yes.
And that is severely going to affect the way the fish are feeding. So
Big time.
It could have just been the day or the last couple weeks just because it just is what it is. You're not a bad angler, so it ain't you.
Carl, 7'3" NRX and CRR. Thank me later. Ooh, that does sound good. Carl, Sean, ask these boys who wants to fish down the Cape or in the Carver Plymouth area. I'll fill the tank and make it worthwhile. Hey, anybody get bass boat down there in the Carver Plymouth Mass area? My buddy Carl's looking for somebody to go out with. Carl, we're gonna come down there pretty soon too.
That's actually the area where the state record bass was caught, so
Yeah.
just saying.
When was that? When was Mass's state record caught? 70s? 80s?
Probably. I don't know.
I'm curious. Actually, I
It
want
was
to look
like
that up.
15 pounds, wasn't it?
Speaking of just big fish in general, I forgot to ask the wife while I was upstairs to see if we could swing this. I don't know if you can. I might be going to Lake Ontario.
When?
3 weeks.
I still have 34 hours of vacation time left. I just found out today.
Really?
I did.
For an overnight trip. So it'll be a Friday, Saturday with TJ.
When? 3 weeks?
23rd and 24th. So I'm off the 22nd for the high school kids. And then
We'll get there in like 3 hours. In that truck. Without the boat.
I know, right? We could just drive up with him. We just meet him at his place in Vermont and then just Lake Ontario, there and back, less than 48 hours.
I would really like to do that.
We'll talk.
Okay.
I have to talk to my wife. I don't even know if I can go. I think I can go. There's a problem. I got the high school derb, the 22nd, that Thursday. And then if I could do this, I'd go up to Lake Ontario Thursday, Friday. Friday, Saturday. Come back home Sunday, spend all day with my family.
Jerry, you
Monday,
can't talk about big fishing. You're not. It's not fair. Chill out.
Monday, I'd fly out to Tampa Bay. in the afternoon, and I fly back at like midnight Thursday night, work Friday. If my kids make it to the state championship, I'm back up at, I don't even know what time in the morning to be up in friggin' Enfield, New Hampshire, which is just like basically Lebanon, for a 7 a.m. tournament that Saturday morning. Who needs sleep? Sleep when I'm dead.
Why do you think we drink so many of these?
I'd survive on a case of those. Yeah, Jerry, here goes the big fish talk. Adventures with Prez. Just finished my high school trail for the season up with a 14-pound bag in Lake Candlewood, 2 4-pound smallies, 1 3-pound smallie, the other 2, and 1.5-pound largemouth. Hell yeah, man.
Not a bad day.
On the drop shot, 15-foot wooded structure. That's awesome. I love that lake. I can't wait to get back down there again too. Back to Alec. Yeah, it's been tough. Definitely think the drought has been affecting it through just about everything and everywhere on the lake, river past 2 days. Got 2 dinks to show for it. New spot. Some places just suck right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, just change it up. Go somewhere you've never been before.
Yeah.
Come up to New Hampshire.
Do that.
What are you doing Saturday?
There's a lot of fun in just fishing like random places. Go for it. Sean sounds like a little kid asking his buddy to come over to his house. I haven't asked my wife yet. I don't know. Listen, when you get to my age in your marriage, you always double check with the wife. Yeah, thank you, Cam. I've literally never fished Mascoma because that's where the high school state championship is this year. Because literally every person I've ever talked to about it has said the place sucks. So,
it does. I've heard there's good fish in there, but they're just almost impossible to find.
Yeah, it was supposed to be somewhere else, but there was a scheduling conflict, so they had to move it, and that's where they ended up at Mascoma. It just sucks because I've never been there, and I won't have any time to go scout it ahead of time. So these kids better be able to understand what my brain's thinking as we break this down on the fly if they make the cut. We'll see how it goes. All right, what else you guys got for questions? Other than that, I mean, it's been an hour. Ooh. Oh, hell yeah, Carl. Who'd you end up going out with? That's Carl. Nice smallie, too, buddy.
Yeah, that's a good fish. Damn.
I like it. Cam, keyword can. There's 1/1000th chance of catching 20 pounds there. Yeah, if it's a smelt lake, I kind of like that. If it's smelt lake.
How deep does that place get?
Jerry, I'm curious. What's the newest techniques? Want to hear it.
If you say swim in a 10-inch worm, I swear to God.
Alec, skunked the new place yesterday. Pre-fish returning this weekend. Today, morale's low. Just going to swing for the fences Sunday. I have a pond that I almost want to tell you about, but it hasn't been the same since COVID. The place blew up. Prior to summer 2020, if you went out there and there was another boat out there, you were seriously questioning what the hell was going on. It is off the beaten path. Hasn't produced a big fish on a regular basis in several years now.
Where?
The one with the channel down to the bridge. These fish underneath the tall bridge, skinny channel on the rocks. The porcupine was pooping on the rock down there.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like a confidence builder lake, right? That was the lake we always went back to when we sucked it up for like 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, but you go bend the rod on 40 fish almost every time you went.
Yeah.
We had 2 ponds like that. One you can't get into right now, and the other one's gotten blown up since COVID. So you got to find yourself a pond like that, man. That's like you're never going to catch under 2 pounds, but just to go and just feel good about bending the rod on a ton of fish in a short period of time, does something for the mind and soul.
Look at the big lakes and go to the small pond right next to it. Because everyone always goes to the big lake. They forget about the little guy.
True. Carl went out to Messalonsky in Maine with, oh, hell yeah. I heard that place is really good.
Oh, I want to go to Lake St. Jean.
Where the hell is that?
Quebec.
Random.
Yeah, I was looking on when I was taking a dump this morning.
Okay. Wait, I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's only 8.5 hours away.
Is it up? It's up your kind of.
You know that weird circle lake?
Yeah.
Just north of it, I think.
Jesus, wait, what? Slow down, slow your roll.
That's South Africa, right there.
That big one? Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ, that's a haul.
8.5 hours.
That place looks dope. Looks like we die too. I have looked at this place before because I remember that big river there.
Looks pretty cool.
It does. Jesus Christ! My God!
So I found another one too,
so
but it's
25 miles wide.
It's in Newfoundland.
Oh God! I know where Newfoundland is. Get out.
No, not Newfoundland. Sorry, it was.
New Brunswick?
Nope.
Inland New. Oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
I don't think there's bass up when you go that far, though.
No, there isn't. There's huge trout though.
Dude, there's like, yeah, you guys ever just like get randomly lost on Google Maps and start looking at lakes like literally all over North America? You go into Canada and you start looking at some of those bodies of water, they're wild.
I get lost in my bedroom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mike, really good point. Hard pressed to find someone who speaks English there.
Good. I'm only talking to people anyways. Besides you guys.
Right? And Mike corrected you. It's pronounced John. Lake St. John.
Station.
Is this silly French Canadian?
Lac Session. How old? Oh, wait.
Lac St. John.
Oh, it's Mike. That's why. He knows.
What else we got?
Or is it
Austin.
St.
Belgrade
Jean?
Lakes are an absolute gem. Been doing a spring trip up there for almost a decade. Incredible smallie numbers. And always a chance for a big, largie, or small monster pike. So, funny story. 2019, we were like, I was like, I want to go on like a proper fishing vacation because I've never done one. And we were talking for months leading up to this. And the Belgrades came up. And that was like, that all of a sudden became our number one choice. Because, like you said, I mean, there's within a 30-minute drive, you got 10 different lakes that could all produce just giants. I've tons of people that have told me that. And that sounded wicked appealing. Like, hell yeah, we go up there for 8 days and fish 8 different bodies of water. It'd be great. Or just find one good one and hammer that all week. But then, like, it was at a time where, like, we were kind of struggling a little bit. And we were like, yeah, but that also sounds like it would kind of suck because then it's like paralysis by analysis. Wait, like, which one do you go to? How do you know you didn't hit the one at the wrong time and you missed that one? And you don't know what's going to happen. And then someone was like, what about the St. Lawrence River? And we're like, well, hell yeah. And I've gone every year since. Andrew missed last year. I'm still hopeful I can go this year.
Why didn't I go last year?
Because I went with TJ and it was in the middle of the week and you couldn't get the time off because I didn't think you were already out of vacation time.
Did I have a broken arm at the time?
That was last year in July. Yes, you did have your broken. Was that? Yeah, because you missed. You missed
Champlain
and Lake Ontario, St. Lawrence. If you had come, we would have had a 5-pounder in the boat. But you weren't there to catch the big fish.
Whoops.
What did Kyle say? Yeah, I look in Alaska. I want to fish camp out there. My dad and my uncle have done it, and they both raved about the experience. I would love to.
I actually have a really cool spot I got to show you. That actually wouldn't be that bad to find a camp up there, and it was not that far. It's only like maybe 8 hours, 10 hours from here.
It's really not that bad.
No.
Especially with the new Tundra. We can get there in like 7.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
All right, well, let's wrap this up in like 5 minutes. So anybody else that's got more questions, let's hit it now, and then we'll call it a night. We'll kind of keep this one relatively short this week. But for everybody that came out tonight, like seriously, thank you so much. Again, I apologize for the last-minute cancellation last night. I mean, I got there as soon as I could. I left work like immediately from as soon as I got out of work at 4:30. I went straight to the dealer. I was hoping to be home by like 8:15 or something like that. I originally was hoping to do the stream at 8:30, and I didn't even get out of there until 8:30. And as soon as I knew that was going to be it, yeah, I've seen that lake. It looks awesome. Yeah, I want to go there so
really
bad.
Cool.
It's a giant ring. The place looks awesome. But anyway, so for everybody that did show up here on the rescheduled night, thank you very much. You guys are the best. We greatly appreciate you. Bryce, where are y'all based out of? I'd like to join y'all on a Monster Smallest trip. Well, we are available for hire for some Vermont trips to guide if you are interested, but we're based out of Southern New Hampshire, Milford. We go all over the place though, man. We were going to have quite a few more days opened up here pretty much throughout the rest of the year and especially next year. Either Vermont or Massachusetts. We can't guide New Hampshire yet. I'm working on that. I got to give that a shot again this year. That means I got to start now so I can take my written test in February. Yeah, I'll give it a shot again. What's the worst can happen? I fail and I gotta wait another year. I fail again for the third time. You should. It's that damn written, the verbal test that got me both times. I passed both written tests without an issue. It's that verbal exam that kicked my ass.
Yeah, talking's hard for me.
The first one, was just no excuse. I thought I was prepared. I wasn't. The second one, they completely changed the format of the test. It threw me through a loop because everything I prepared for 2 years to that point, all of a sudden just went out the window. It's great. Anyway.
That's tests.
Yeah. Bryce, that depends. Vermont is a lot more than we would charge if we went to Mass.
Email.
So email us, 603bass@gmail. Let me know. I'll let you know. And yeah, we'll take it from there. We actually, so depending upon what body of water we go to as well, I will offer, it's more for if we bring 2 people, but it's better value, the per person price. Keep that in mind. Yeah, if anybody that's interested, let me know. Just email me, 603bass@gmail. Just put like guide trip or something in the subject and I'll get back to you. Jeremy, have a great night too, man. Good luck out there.
Later.
Alex, Southern New Hampshire is exactly what we're looking for. Get in touch with you. Camden. Hey, there you go. Oh, here you go, Alex. Does New Hampshire have an interactive map where it can locate places with boat ramps?
Just Google any pond you find in New Hampshire, and one of the first links will be the
Depth
New Hampshire Fish and Game, the depth maps and all that. And top right corner, when you click on it, top right corner will give you all the information about the lake.
Yep, it'll tell you main species that are in there, and if there is a ramp, it'll show on the map where the ramp is located. And it'll tell you if it's usually like a very, very brief description of the overall quality of it. And if it's like top or car topper only or not. It's not interactive. It's just a list, but it lists all the lakes alphabetically. So you can go by that. I think New Hampshire, I think if they can, it'd be really cool if they could go in and make it interactive like Masses is. That would be huge.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen because they haven't updated since the freaking 70s.
Truth.
So, yeah, don't really completely rely on those maps for accurate depths.
No, most of them suck. You got to back up with like Navionics or Lake Master or something. Mm-hmm. Adventurers Prez, you're very welcome. Thank you for watching tonight, man. Appreciate it. Ethan's Exotics. Tying some flies tonight, watching the stream. Flies, eh? Do you tie hair jigs for bass by any chance? I would like to place an order. I need hair jigs. I want hair jigs for this winter. Remember those stupid things over there? Little hairy thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that on the back of a sniper.
Mm-hmm. I know. I thought of it.
I have them. Dark green pumpkin for the body and black on the butt.
You kidding me?
I'm not even kidding.
That's the color that I wanted to see if they had. Okay, cool.
I got us. It's all good. Sick. He actually makes hair jigs too, so I might order some from him. King Bates, dude, you got here right at the end. But we appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate it. Camden, cheaper. You got to email me. I'm not going to say my prices on the air. I'm sorry. Mike, yeah, send me that, please. You already told me it on Discord, and I already forgot. Please send it. Thank you. I'd appreciate it. I get my order in probably tonight. Yeah, that guy. I need those. You're very welcome, Alec. Miss anything else? Dan, thank you. Mike, yeah, spot on. Navionics web app is decent for that usually too. Yeah. All right, man. No other questions coming in. We'll wrap it up. Hey, thank you everyone again. And for anybody that didn't do it yet, before you go, drop a like on the stream, please. Anybody coming back to this after it's been uploaded, leave a comment. Like, comments on YouTube are a surprisingly strong factor in what helps drive traffic as well. Helps in the overall algorithm. All our videos that have higher number of comments tend to just get pushed through the algorithm more. So it's like a culmination of everything, but that's another key component. So, man, even if you guys are watching the videos, like anytime, like it literally does not matter what's written as long as there is a comment of some kind, it helps. Our better videos, and it could just be coincidence, but it's like the comments start creeping up and then the video views just start tracking right behind it. So anybody that does anything, greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, Andrew, do your thing.
Thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the stream, you can catch us again next week every Wednesday. Today is an exception. Every Wednesday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time at youtube.com/603bass. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.
See you.
Have a good night, everybody.